Last of Us is a mid-tier game at best. I'm including both games because it applies to both of them, but I want to focus mostly on part 1. Firstly, in 2013, the amount of zombie-related media was oversaturated and overdone. Young Defiant has a great video breaking down part 1's issues and shortcomings.
Last of Us is by far one of the most boring, repetitive, piece of trash games ever created. It's without a doubt one of the worst games of all time. It's a game that Sony fanboys never failed to suck off. To these idiots, though, the game is a masterpiece, one of the greatest games of all time. And this just not only proves how dead gaming truly is, but it honestly pushes the boundaries of how truly shit someone's taste in games can be. If you think The Last of Us is a good game, you're the epitome of an idiot. You're a casual, a fake gamer, and someone that should honestly never touch a game again in your life. Just sell every gaming item you own, hang up your controllers, and just quit gaming immediately because you're doing nothing but embarrassing yourself by playing bad games. I mean, this is the type of game that you play, and just by playing it, you know you're an idiot. Like, as soon as you even pop it in and think this game is good, you've achievement unlocked, trophy unlocked. Congratulations, you're an idiot.
But the essential issue lies with one word: investment. The game's structure and design around the player being aligned with the character is a big ask if players aren't interested in playing a game of this genre. This is why I think the game worked when it initially dropped. Players did not know much. Story-wise, this game is a giant waste of time due to the ending. And the more you know about the game, the less interested you become. This is from the perspective of players who never played the game yet. The game has decent graphics, a decent story, decent characters, and decent mechanics. It's a decent game overall. But the game's strengths lie in the attention to detail. Not only in the notes that you find scattered across the world, but the writing and the dialogue used and the situations written to make these words hit the player most effectively. But this is also where Naughty Dog took a risk, because nobody buys a game for that. People barely watch movies for that. The player can skip all cutscenes and still keep up with the story because of how basic it is and how much dialogue is written into the actual gameplay. The characters are decent, but unrelatable, therefore unlikable. And they are all essentially the same, a sentiment Young Defiant and Neil Druckmann share.
It almost doesn't matter, right? Joel's daughter could have been Joel's son. Ellie could have been the boy, and Joel might have been Tess. You could have swapped those roles, and I think the story would have still worked.
You saw that coming from a mile away? All the other characters that you meet throughout the series are trash as well? They're all cardboard cutouts of each other? I mean, you'll see a new character and think, wait a minute, didn't we just meet this character like 3 hours ago? They're that close together. They're that identical. There's just nothing unique about these characters. They're all cardboard cutouts.
The characters aren't even interesting. They're mainly a bunch of elderly males, older women, or children. The combat is decent but makes no sense, and it forces you to use bricks and bottles and fists or sneaking around instead of actually shooting. But given that it's a video game, some goofiness is welcomed. It being set in a post-apocalypse was just an excuse to not put anything in the game. So in a way, it forced the devs to put more detail in the environments. Environments that are walled off by fences, buses, and other video game walls, in a world where neither character can jump. I shouldn't have to say that not jumping is a big no-no for games that lack strong mechanics and fun gameplay loops. Not to mention that gaming's biggest mascot is the jumping plumber himself. No, not that one. This entire game is just a fetch quest that never ends. Every character dies. You have to walk everywhere. There's not enough fights or bullets. And then they make you play as the girl who is the reason for this whole story happening. And if you knew any of that going in, you would not be interested. The AI is super inconsistent. They're either marksmen or completely useless. Enemy AI or the companions. The game clearly wants you to reflect on the actions taken throughout the story. But between repetitive gameplay, boring walking and talking sections, and the excessive dialogue, the player will lose all investment to this game on first playthrough, based on how long the game is, and depending on how much they knew going into it. Ironically, the more you know about the story, world, and characters, the game gets better on multiple playthroughs. But for that, you need the initial investment or immersion. If you like to play music while playing games, this game is not for you. If you like games you could pick the controller up at any time, it's not a game for you. If you like split screen or passing the controller, there's no hope for you. The game ending comes abruptly after Joel kills the fireflies, which shouldn't have been considered an option on first playthrough at the beginning. In any other game, they would have handed off Ellie and the story would have been different. Maybe it would have been a smuggler's game, but this game ends on a cliffhanger. But the cliffhanger could have taken place at the beginning of the story, which adds to it being a mid-tier game and a waste of time. The final nail in the coffin is that at the moment this is a part 1 of a 2-part story. So if you weren't invested to complete this story or give it a second chance, why would you ever play the longer second part, which leaves you with half the experience? Even if you only like the cinematics and the story, it will also be quite a mid-experience. This is simply because of how much video game is lacking and how much dialogue is written into the actual gameplay. And there's no stats, there's no builds, there's no exploration, maps, vehicles, and so on. Subscribe if you made it this far into the video. Comment and like. If you're enjoying this video, maybe you'll like my The Last of Us is Cool video. It talks more on the position the devs were in when creating The Last of Us and how impressive the execution is. A term I now use to describe this game is the world's first immersive interactive cinematic experience. And it's because of that video. If you're expecting a strong story, that is not the case. If you expect superior mechanics, this is not the case either. But if you accept and embrace the game fully while understanding the position the devs were in, the experience Naughty Dog crafted becomes much more worth it, and the player could begin to dissect what the game is truly saying. The more you think about it, this game shouldn't be successful. It's about an old man and a little girl. That should be enough. The fact that the combat was designed in 2010 makes this game 15 years old, technically, and it was also a new IP for a dying console released before the PS4 came out. It's a very forgettable game, but the characters and dialogue made it memorable. This is again because of the clever writing. The writing uses psychology and player expectations to align the characters and players, and it gets the players and the characters on the same page emotionally.
At Naughty Dog, that's what we're trying to do, is pair story and gameplay together. If we can make you feel like you're actually with these characters on that journey and you're invested in those stories and those characters, then you're feeling, in theory, the same thing that they're feeling.
As the story evolved and took different shapes and different forms, the thing that was always there was Joel and Ellie. And because of that, everything kind of grew out of that relationship.
This game changed how video games and their characters are presented, for better or for worse. It's actually for worse because no studio can replicate what this game did. So that means that this is the best of these types of games. And if this game is mid at best, and every game can't come close to this, is this the reason that gaming industry is in shambles? It is a factor. Anyways, check out The Last of Us is Cool and other content on the channel. We're still on the road to making the ultimate The Last of Us video. So check out the playlist and watch them in order. More videos will be added. I try to put as much new information into these videos as possible without ruining the subject of the video itself and derail my points. This video didn't have that much new ideas because I'm approaching it from the perspective of someone who never finished the game, or they finished it without giving it a second chance. But a question I want to ask the Last of Us community is, why would Joel wear the watch for 20 years but not want the photo of Sarah? I get that he wouldn't want to see her face, but wouldn't the watch just trigger the memory of her face? The more I overthink it, I ended up coming to the conclusion that the photo reminds him of the last time he saw her face, which was when she was dead, but the watch triggers the memory of her on the couch, alive, on his birthday, which is technically 2 different days. Anyway, leave a comment about what you love or hate about the game or games. It could be anything involving the community, show, or the developers. And subscribe.